something else. No. Oh, our next guest won, and then all of a sudden, oh, but he won't be here. Yeah, this guy's on cancer with him.
Does the greatest of all time, Paul Heyman, work?
Ha! Ooh. It's a hell of a lot harder than you do.
Wow.
Next.
All right, Mr. Heyman is here. First question in the front row.
Hey, doing Paul, Bill Pritchard from WrestleZone.com.
So the question is, how am I doing? Oh.
It's actually, I think, a simple question. What inning are we in?
Bottom of the third. I mean, we're just figuring this stuff out. We haven't even hit our stride yet. There's just, if you want to take the arrogant approach, I'm sure Paul Levesque will tell you all the box office records that have been smashed. And every Friday night when we show up at SmackDown, we're always told, this is the largest gate of this, and this is the largest gate of that. And this is the largest premium live event, and this is the largest WrestleMania. Okay, we can sit there and point to what really drove all of this, and that's quite clearly the bloodline, and when I say the bloodline, I essentially mean the tribal chief Roman Reigns. But we're just figuring this out. There's so much more to learn. There's so much more for us to grasp. There's so much more for us to master. It's a craft, and it's an evolving craft. It's like mixed martial arts. If someone sits there and says, you know, I'm a 19th Dan black belt in jiu-jitsu, they're going to get choked out the next week. Because it's an ever-evolving sport, and this is an ever-evolving form of entertainment. And if you sit there and you think like, man, we got this is it, okay, we're cruising now all the way to WrestleMania, we're gonna be replaced. And we should be. If you don't come at this with the greatest ambitions to be much better tomorrow than you are today, and much better 2 days from now than you are tomorrow, then you're not here to be the greatest of all time. And that's what Roman Reigns wants to be, and that's what Roman Reigns is determined to be. And I mean, for me, that's the only reason why I agreed to have life after Lesnar. How could I have ever topped the run I had with Brock Lesnar? Roman Reigns. Because he's that ambitious, because he wants it that badly. So what inning are we in? Bottom of the third. Wait till you see what we got in the fourth. Thank you, Mr. Pritchard. And I'm doing fine, thank you for asking.
Hi, AJ from the AJ Austin Show. There's been a lot of turmoil in the bloodline recently, with Solo Sikoa seeming to be separating himself from Roman Reigns. What do you think Paul Heyman will be doing next after the bloodline disbands?
I don't know what will you do when the Earth blows up and we all live on Mars because of Elon Musk. I mean, we're case in point, bottom of the third, and you're asking questions like, you know, it's the seventh inning stretch. The bloodline disbands. We're there already. That's it. There's no more stories to tell. We already know why Jimmy did what Jimmy did. We already know what's going on between Solo and Roman Reigns. We already know where the wise man Paul Heyman stands. We'll do it all on Friday. Calm down a little with the progression of the storylines. We've been doing this for 3 years, and not once have I heard a credible person say, it's been dragging on. It doesn't drag on. We continue to layer and peel back layers and reveal more things about each persona, where just when you think you have the persona completely figured out, there's something new to learn about that person and their dynamic within the other people in the group. And sometimes it involves people outside of the group, like Sami Zayn. So what will I do when the bloodline disbands? I don't know. I'll probably be celebrating my 120th birthday by then.
And one more question for Mr. Heyman.
Hey Paul, Graham Matthews, Bleacher Report. Whether it be Drew McIntyre, Jey Uso, Cody Rhodes, opponent after opponent, Roman Reigns puts him down. Reigning supreme every single time. The fan reaction, deflating the arena after every single one of these defenses. Do you continue to take pleasure after every single one of these wins for Roman, or is it just business as usual, pay-per-view after pay-per-view?
The short answer to your question, do I continue to take pleasure in every one of his performances? Yes. The in-depth answer to your question is that question is based on the premise that the thing that I'm most proud of is the match, the victory. I can't think of a frame of television I've been on and shared with Roman Reigns in the past 3 years that hasn't been a career highlight for me, or a life-affirming moment as a performer, or a writer, or a director, or a producer, or a collaborator. I once heard Edward Norton trying to describe what Marlon Brando did to acting. And Edward Norton said that Marlon Brando tilted the axis of how an actor approaches his craft. And to me, that's Roman Reigns. He has so completely redefined how we approach this industry, this genre. I truly, in my heart, don't believe that anyone in that locker room right now is in the same genre as Roman Reigns. I think they're all trying to figure out how the bloodline got to where he is. His understanding of the medium, of the platform, and again, it goes back to the pandemic. Everybody looked at the pandemic for the limitations that were provided. And in our first phone call together, as we started to conspire this entire theory, was, wow, we can whisper on television and talk like this and the cameras can zoom in. We can do movie scenes in the locker room and people are gonna be engrossed. I mean, if I told you 3 years ago that the most highly anticipated moments on SmackDown was not on the set with Caleb Braxton, or with Byron, or with someone that sits there, and this Saturday night will be live at SummerSlam, and your opponent will be coming from not only the Universal Heavyweight Championship, but for the Olafala as well. And your thoughts, Mr. I'm coming there, I'm gonna whip his ass, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, he's gonna come down to SummerSlam! And that's what this business was, and it was great. And then it changed. Because we could sit there and do movie scenes together, and with each other, and with opponents. But by the time I got on Talking Smack with Caleb Braxton, I could sit with Roman's opponent and literally talk to them about the strategy of the match. I could sit with Big E and talk about his title aspirations when you know that Big E was going to come after Roman Reigns. I could sit there with Kevin Owens on the eve of a match. I could sit there with Edge the night before WrestleMania and talk about what it was like for Edge to have to give up a championship, and now he's coming for it again. And I'm talking with him about it for 15 minutes. And it's not, and your mother sucks, and this wasn't just coming out of my imagination. This was playing off of what Roman Reigns did to tilt the axis. So again, short answer, infinitely proud of every match that he's had, infinitely proud of the stories that he tells, infinitely proud of a D1 athlete that brings a performance that very few athletes, Brock Lesnar, brings a level of athleticism like Roman Reigns does, and very few other people do. But I have found that every frame, every microsecond, 24 frames or 30 frames per second that I share with Roman Reigns is a career highlight for me. It's an honor for me. When I tell you that I acknowledge the tribal chief, I tell you in my heart of hearts, I acknowledge the tribal chief because he is to me. Because he's embodied it. He's taken over that persona. He's stepped into the skin. And I would dare anybody, to sit there and say I'm cutting a promo. Because look at the track record. We're 3 years into this. We're only in the bottom of the third. Thanks for your question. Good night, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Heyman.
I'll go first one.